Hello and welcome back to another Cabincast Ramble with Oliver and Tan.
Hello.
We are here to talk about more Steven Universe and to finally, after like 11 or 12 weeks, 3 technical months worth of episodes, not in a row, and it's been longer, but you get the idea. Finally round out the first season, which granted is longer. So the others might not take quite this long, but
Indeed. Plus, we did already talk a little bit about season 2 in the reaction one, so that might be a slightly shorter one as well.
Potentially. But I was talking about them while during our reactions, and now having the full context, looking at them from a more metaphorical and psychological and all that kind of perspective, I somewhat doubt that. And also Paradox.
Yes. Prepare yourselves for an hour of Holly fawning over Peridot.
Yes, it's possible. But today we are here with episode 50/51. I'm looking on the list of episodes I've got from Wikipedia. It says 51, but I've got another source that says 50. So who really knows? Steven Universe episode numbers are kind of in flux. They don't really matter. It's around the 50 mark. It's towards the end of the first season.
Yeah, we talked about this last time, and they're in a weird order, but
yes, the order's very weird, but yeah. See our previous episode if you want to hear about all that nonsense.
This is political power.
It is. Take it away.
Okay, so this is the first big Mayor Dewey episode. Obviously, we had Ocean Gem, which had Mayor Dewey doing stuff in, and we had Shirt Club, which was Buck Dewey,
which we talked about for much longer than we expected,
for quite a while. But this is a Mayor Dewey episode.
It is,
and at the same time, it's not it's a Steven episode, because it's a similar vein to Dewey Wins in season 5, in which Mayor Dewey is technically one of the main characters in the thing, but in some way he's like a means to Steven understanding the relationships between him and in this case the gems, in the other one with Connie.
Yeah.
Because it's like the same situation.
It's a good way of putting it.
And the situation here is about lying to people for their own good.
Indeed.
Or at least in what one might think is for their own good. But who knows? Ooh.
Indeed.
At the start of the episode, Pearl is trying to create like a little disruptor thing to stop any Robonoids.
Indeed.
From working. And they are hoping that Steven would be in bed at the time, presumably because they don't want him knowing about that they're sort of worried about it, and they want to try and fix or like stop the Robonoids. That's one of the things that they're worried about.
Yes.
But it doesn't work.
It basically acts like an EMP, it seems, but it only affects all the human technology and turns off all the lights.
Yes.
The Robonoid is still working.
The Robonoid is very much still working.
And Steven doesn't really get it. Or he still doesn't get the stakes at the very least. He's like, well, you knocked out all the lights.
Yeah, he's doesn't quite understand the stakes just yet.
Yeah. Pearl kind of snaps at him, but stops before she really talks about, anything that's actually gonna be potentially world altering for Steven.
Yeah, they're under a bit of stress.
And yeah, exactly. And then starts talking about cannibalizing the washing machine.
Yeah, which isn't the first time that they've been trying to. Or I guess it is the first time, but it's not the last time they'll be cannibalizing parts from the house in order to.
Yeah.
In order to make a machine.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a shed or something, and then they're like, well, you might have to wear your same shirt for a while.
Yes, and
he takes off a shirt and he's just got another shirt.
It's got the same one.
Which, I mean, why'd you do that? You're on a beach. It's too warm.
It is too warm. It's so warm.
Actually, I guess it's night, but yeah, tangent. It's really flipping warm.
It's been so warm.
It's been so warm this last week. Tomorrow, though, at least where I am, we've got thunder, which is a nice change.
That's terrifying.
Oh, I love thunder. We've had this discussion, and we can have this discussion again next season with Peridot.
When it rains.
When it rains.
Literally and figuratively. We have to record that episode when it rains. When it rains.
Yeah,
that's confusing.
Yeah. Anyway, back to season 1.
Yeah, Steven's gonna make some mac and cheese or something.
Something. Yeah.
Because he makes all the food. Which I'm sure is, does wonders for his health, lifestyle. I mean, he's
gonna say, yeah, makes all the food, one, and makes all the pre-made food too.
He's like 13.
13. It's. I mean, this stuff is good in a bind, but eating every day is.
Yeah, but he gets energy from his gem or something, so
yeah, I was gonna say
it doesn't really matter.
He's fine, probably.
He's fine, probably. There's no weird mental effects to having so much independence at such a young age will have. No. And it doesn't work. None of the electricity works. The power is still out, which is ostensibly not a good thing, because when the fridge, for example, or the freezer doesn't work, you have to kind of throw everything out. And I would know.
I was gonna say.
Grumble, grumble.
Oh dear.
4 months. Was it? I think it was 4 months of not having it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
It was. Yeah. Not a good time. But yeah, none of the power works, or the stuff's melted. The microwave doesn't work, which, considering that, as we said, all of Steven's cooking comes from microwaving frozen things, is a real problem.
And or getting free stuff at the Big Donut and the fry shop.
Yes, also that. Good point. However, before I can come to any of those conclusions, he hears a knock at the door, and it's Mayor Dewey.
Yes. And he asks for Steven's sisters. Yeah. Which obviously they don't really understand. And Steven doesn't understand. Not sure about I guess that was quite a more mature joke that Mayor Dewey makes at that one point. The tall one, the purple one, the hot one, when describing the gems.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
I've forgotten that.
You've forgotten that one. Okay.
I mean, she likes organizing stuff.
Yeah.
That's about all I've got. I mean,
Cool.
you can just be happy that you and Mayor Dewey have a mutual appreciation of the pearls, Tan.
Yeah. Well,
That you've got
I
there.
don't, I don't not in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah,
Sorry.
Stephen
Yeah.
assumes
Stephen's.
responsibility for it,
Yeah.
and the gems pretty much emphatically say that they won't help.
Pretty much. He still seems confused by his sisters. He's having a bit of a slow morning.
No breakfast.
No
Does that.
breakfast. Yeah, and he's literally just got up, so I'm kind of a bit of slack, but
And Pearl being slightly out of touch with humanity as a whole. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, it seems like just yesterday we were hunting and gathering.
Yeah.
And that was like 6,000 years ago, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess is true. Maybe we should go back to hunting and gathering. I know one book that there were a couple of books that would say that, which I'm reading at the moment, but never mind.
Mhm. Yep. Uh.
Now,
Yeah. So yeah, she's like, oh, it'll be back on as early as this afternoon or as late as never.
yes, and
Isn't great.
the mayor only panics after the never comment, obviously,
Yes.
because that's quite bad.
I
And he
mean, initially he's
mentions
just kind of like happy that it's Pearl. To be fair, so.
that the citizens need their electronic distractions in order to not realize that the town is a magnet for disaster.
Yeah. Electronic
Which it
distractions.
is.
Lines.
The only one who knows that is probably Ronaldo.
Yes, he's the only one who has seen the truth
He's,
in a way.
in a way, in a
The half truth.
terrifying way.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of got it in Horror Club.
He did. He did.
Yeah. But yeah, Stephen, ever the person who wants to fix other people's problems, decides to help by himself.
Yeah.
Not getting paid. And
Yeah, when the sun goes down, so does the town.
now, visiting the Big Donut,
Mm-hmm.
obviously all the ice cream has melted,
It has,
and they're throwing it out.
which is very sad.
And Stephen is only just starting to grasp the severity of the situation in that
Yeah.
case, because he was like, "Oh no!"
Again, Stephen doesn't go to school. Stephen doesn't know what electricity is, really. I don't think. I doubt Stephen knows that things run on electricity until pretty much this moment. And so yeah, he's like, "Oh, cool, the lights have all gone out. Neat. Oh, that's odd. My freezer's not working and the microwave's not working. Oh wait, all these freezers aren't working either? Oh, okay, this is pretty bad."
Yeah. And the mayor tells him that the power will be back by sundown,
Indeed.
and gives him a button and a glow stick, which is that's kind of his thing, you know. He keeps handing out that's his whole shtick, is that he's always campaigning,
He is, yeah.
even when there's not an election on.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Mayor Dewey lied about it being back by sundown because he doesn't know.
He doesn't know for sure if it will be, yeah.
And he gives Stephen some sage wisdom, which isn't actually sage wisdom.
It's truth.
It's truth.
and
in some ways.
it works as long as the thing pays off like you hope it will.
It's the accepted strategy in that causing panic is perhaps the worst thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so during a crisis, a lot of political maneuvering is about trying to make sure people understand that things are under control and not to panic.
Even if they maybe aren't quite as much as you want them to be.
Yeah.
Take a look at the start of the lockdown last year. Did we have any toilet roll? No.
No.
Because people bought all that for some reason. Because people panic and buy stuff. And they said it was under control, and it clearly wasn't under control. But even though they said it was, people still panic then. But then when it's a global pandemic, no matter how well you say it's under control, people are always going to panic about that. But
yeah,
I remember a few years back there was like a rumor that maybe like petrol was gonna run out, or there was gonna be less petrol for a bit or something, and there were these huge queues. This might have been in America, might not have been in the UK, but it was somewhere.
people were
Massive
filling up
queues and filling up all these little canteens and everything.
Yeah.
They thought they was going to run out of fuel, and then they almost did run out of fuel because everyone was buying all the fuel.
It was the same with the toilet roll, because people were buying more than usual, and then the media was reporting that people were buying more than usual, and then there were shortages, and that meant everyone who didn't have like that much left, like me, was like, oh, I gotta buy some toilet roll, otherwise there won't be any left, and I won't be able to go to the loo.
Positive.
And so I bought a little bit. I mean, I had to. I didn't have any left.
Yeah. Exactly.
But because of that, and because of that sort of coverage in that way, there was a panic.
Yeah. Luckily, Beach City has no media, because
it seems like it.
Because that would make things would have made things horrendously worse from the get-go.
Yeah, they don't have a local news outlet. Their local news outlet is Ronaldo's blog.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much just dismiss everything it says.
Indeed.
Or at least people do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically a news outlet. Anyway, so yeah, so the Mayor Dewey is basically like, I'm not lying, it's politics, which is great commentary for a kids show, but it's all about keeping the people calm, which keeps them from panicking, which keeps them safe.
Yeah. But Mayor Dewey is kind of, at the same time, kind of going about it the wrong way, because he's not sort of presenting the truth in a way that doesn't cause panic. He's just straight up lying.
Yes.
Lion.
Yeah. Like a much better way would be, I'm talking to the people involved, and it's going to be back up as soon as possible. Because that's true enough.
Yeah.
Saying he's going to definitely have it back up by sundown is inaccurate.
Presents a slightly cynical take on it, in which he's like, well, I mean, I can't actually control the power. There's nothing I can do. I can't control what happens in the world. But what I can do is change the PR.
Yeah, change the PR.
Which is the unfortunate truth sometimes.
Indeed.
Now.
Yeah.
They do.
Goes on about how Ocean Town, made this mistake, and no one's heard of Ocean Town, and.
Well, the crowd know Ocean Town, but Stephen doesn't.
Yes.
Because he talks to a small crowd that's gathering outside.
Yes, he does.
Headed by Nanafor, it seems, which is foreshadowing for 5 seasons onward.
Yep.
Where Nanafor becomes the sort of direct political opponent to Mayor Dewey.
Yeah.
But basically, Mayor Dewey just sort of, in his classic sort of bumbling fashion, whoever the voice actor for him is, he's so good.
He is.
in that sort of bumbling way, he sort of just says, "Yeah, the power will be back by sundown. Don't worry."
Yep.
And tells Steven to give him all buttons and glow sticks.
Makes a joke about Ocean Town.
Makes a joke about Ocean Town. Indeed. Now, there's an interesting bit that I want to highlight because I was a little confused by it.
Sure.
Something that I couldn't analyze. In that, Steven's quite adverse reaction to Greg saying, "Not sure I'm going to need this," to the glow stick. Because he was sort of okay with it. And Greg says, you can never have too many Dewey buttons, which implies that he's got very many from Dewey over the years.
Yes.
And then says he probably not going to need the glow stick. And I'm not quite sure what that's a reference to and why Steven reacts so poorly to it.
So, I believe this is. I think you're maybe overthinking this. Glow sticks create light, you see, which is good when electricity no works, so lights no function. But because Mayor Dewey has said that, hey, lights gonna be back by this evening. You don't need the glow stick because the lights are gonna be back on. And Steven's like, but that's not true, and so that's why he looks confused.
Oh.
I reckon that's.
Also, Greg's got a van. And
Yeah, Greg has a van, which has its own power, which is a good point. But I think primarily it's just for, to give Steven again some more doubt.
It does give him doubt. Greg, in some way, is sort of dismissive of Mayor Dewey in that sense, then. Because he's sort of like, he doesn't really say much. He just sort of notes that he's got a lot of buttons, that it doesn't really mean much.
I think, like, he definitely believes him, or believes in him to an extent, because he believes what he's saying about the power coming back. But yeah, I think it's just, a kind of, classic Greg way of saying things. Just been like, I've got a whole ton of these because Mayor Dewey's been in power probably, the whole time. Pretty much Greg's lived here. And he's always campaigning, so you get a lot of buttons. So, just used to him
still
being
confused about the glow stick comment in some ways, but maybe I am overthinking about it.
I think you're overthinking. I think it was just giving out glow sticks, because they're useful if there's a power outage. But not during the day, because you can see during the day. And even if you've got a van, I guess the battery runs out eventually. To be fair, it's if it was in EMP, then the van might have lost all its power as well in the battery.
Oh, true.
In which case he would still need the glow stick. But then the power coming back on wouldn't help Greg directly. He'd need to get some. Yeah, the cars might all be screwed. Actually, that's a bit of an issue.
Thinking about it.
Because you can you need you need another car to jumpstart your car, recharge the battery. If all the car batteries are dead. We're overthinking this now.
Maybe.
So moving on.
Yeah, Steven's kind of upset at.
Yeah, a little bit.
Greg returning the glow stick. But
He's like, no, you might need it because it isn't going to be fixed.
Yeah, I guess that's just Steven wanting to help.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to an interesting, an interestingly shot scene.
Mm-hmm.
Not shot. There's no cameras. It's animated.
Oh, it's
framed.
Framed. You can say shot. Animators still have to decide how to draw all their stuff. And if they, storyboarded, then they are essentially choosing all their shots and cinematography.
Yeah.
The work is still there. But yeah, it's just legs.
Yeah, we just see their legs, and we also see the courtesan trio.
Yeah.
And we can kind of tell Pearl's anxiety through the leg behavior. Like,
she's like shuffling about.
Yeah, but they're talking about what they're gonna do when Peridot and Lapis and whoever else.
Yeah, he sees that the light cannons have been brought back out.
Yeah, indeed. And they're kind of bickering a little bit.
Yeah, you've got the different perspectives again, haven't you? You've got the I was going to make a comparison, but you have not seen those films yet, so I'll not make that comparison. But yeah, you've got the kind of Pearl who's kind of just like bargaining with the idea of, well, we do this, we can take out the Robonoids, and it's like, well, it's not just the Robonoids. Garnet's pointing out, and then Amethyst like, well, just break everything. It's not actually probably going to work either. So yeah, they're not really in agreement about what to do. And then they change tune as Steven appears.
Yeah. They're sort of oddly enthusiastic about Steven returning.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit creepy.
It's uncomfortable. It reminds us of Mayor Dewey, his way of talking.
Yeah.
But they try and create a distraction through cards. And I have to say that I like the little "come on, early man."
Yeah.
His sisters too. That's quite amusing. But Steven isn't doesn't believe it.
No.
And stays outside.
When the sun goes down, so does the town.
Exactly. Immediately, as soon as the gems enter the house and Steven is not in, they start discussing again. Like literally as soon as he's out of earshot.
And
so they are really just avoiding that topic around him. And the town has indeed gone down, I guess.
Gone feral.
It's got whoa.
Yeah, Medru is trying to, but if we can just talk about it, and Nanapar makes some suggestions that in real life would definitely get her cancelled in like 10 years' time when someone re-uncovers the footage.
What?
Oh, she's like, tip his truck. You know, and then they tip his truck.
Oh, they do, yes.
That's as little you need to say these days. Someone will find it, and then that's your career gone.
Is that so?
Yes. Sometimes for good reason. Sometimes it's really stupid. Anyway, they tip over the truck, and I mean, you know, kind of.
That was weird, but
fair enough. Sorry, some things happened in some popular culture things that I'm a part of, and some of the things are just kind of like, well, that sucks. That's yeah, wish you didn't do that. And some things are like, why is this a thing? Why are we like this?
Same for me.
Oh,
there was some Scott Cawthon related news in FNAF.
Oh,
but
I've not heard about that. But we can discuss this what we're not doing.
He'd been donating to Republican candidates. So people were like, "Woohoo, bad." Anyway, Steven gives a very Steven speech.
He does.
It's a very Steven speech.
Yes. I like Onion's there with the baseball bat as well, just to.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
He encourages the people to believe in themselves,
Mm-hmm.
in that they can indeed function without the electricity.
Yeah.
By extolling their virtues, and Stephen sort of understands that. Well, I don't know if understand. Stephen does not really understand, but he sort of says it in a way because he is thinking about his family rather than the actual power in this case.
Yeah. I mean, he ends it with "We are the light of Beach City." He's basically, quoting "We are the crystal gems."
Yeah.
You know.
So he's like that. He was hiding the truth because he loves you. Stephen's saying that because he's understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was a little bit miffed about what the gems were doing, and he has been, because they've been keeping secrets a lot over the season.
And as he's saying this, he realizes that that's what the
That's what
gems
it
are
was
doing to
about.
him. Yeah.
That's what they were doing.
And that gets you in the good books again for now, which is
For now.
useful.
So he goes back
He goes back
to the gems and he confronts them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still trying to avoid it, but he kind of pushes it, which is good because it's the kind of stuff that he needs to know.
It is.
And the gems admit to Stephen that they're scared of what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. And they might fail. And that's something that they presumably didn't think that Stephen was going to be able to deal with.
Yeah. And I mean, again, he still doesn't quite grasp it, but he can grasp it more than they think he can.
Yeah. It's like what Garnet says, she sometimes thinks of him as younger than he really is.
Yeah.
It's like he underwent a bit of a character transformation after Stephen and the Stevens when he saw himself die.
Yeah, just
and
a little
after
bit.
that, he became a bit more mature.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be one of the early turning points, to be fair.
Yeah, but that's the episode.
Yeah, the power comes back on.
Power does come back on.
And we don't get a star.
It's true. We get static.
We do.
Which is ominous.
It is. And so it should be.
Indeed, because the next episode it's so good. It's one of those episodes that's really good. Like all the music in the background, the sort of the tension and unease that you feel in the dialogue and the, sort of the way things are framed.
Where were you up to in Clone Wars at this point, Tan?
Clone Wars?
Yeah.
I'm still quite early on.
Okay.
I'm in season 1, so.
Okay. Well, when you eventually get to season 7, the second to last episode of the entire show is one of the most tense. Has one of the most tense things I've ever seen. It is. It's because you know what's coming. Which here you kind of don't really, but you can expect what's coming. There. In this, it's a different kind of tension to that, because in that you know what the characters don't. But the music knows that you know what the characters don't. And so it's just it's really good, and it's like all silent except when you get to there, we can discuss this. back to Steven Universe. In this, it's you don't know what's coming, and the gems don't know what's coming, really. So you were both in the same place.
Indeed.
I mean, technically, if you were watching the Clone Wars as your first introduction to Star Wars going chronologically, you don't. But for 90% of people, you know what's coming.
I mean, if you were watching the Clone Wars as your first introduction to Star Wars, with the amount of like forward and backward it goes in time,
well, you'd want to have found the chronological order, yeah, and gone through in that, which is effort, but
it's a lot of effort.
Does solve some confusion. But anyway, yeah, it's
The return.
The return.
It starts off fairly normally.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen and Greg at the fry shop getting the bits.
Mm-hmm. And it's just Lil Fryman.
Just PD. Greg compliments him, and PD takes that as kind of patronizing.
He does, but that's the less important part of that reaction. It's what Greg says. That's a lot of responsibility for a kid your age.
Indeed.
And your dad must really trust you. That's not going to come up later at all.
Oh boy. Yeah.
But yeah, he's talking to his dad kind of nonchalantly about how when you smash the Robonoids and stuff, they turn to goo. And Greg's like,
Greg's about to sort of say, like, question to what extent he really wants to let Stephen do all these dangerous things.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a rumble and a smash and a...
Yeah, all the glass breaks.
All the glass breaks, and we see a montage of all the teenagers. Pretty much, yeah. We see like the fish stew pizza people and Buck, Chewy, and Onion. No, sour cream.
Yeah.
And it's like, what was that?
Indeed, there's a giant pointing finger in the sky.
Giant point finger. I do love the... They make no sense, really.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of the gem ships all being like parts of anatomy.
Yeah, it's weird but cool.
The hands and arms make so much sense and everything else.
Yeah, not sure about the legs.
The legs are hilarious. And the torso thing just looks like a giant perfume bottle.
A torso and head.
Yeah, but the arms and hands are cool. Also, why are they based on human anatomy when they don't have to look like humans at all? But again, this doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Is it a left-handed ship or a right? It's a left.
I think this is a left-handed ship, isn't it?
Which would imply that it's
someone.
It's a yellow.
Yes.
A yellow ship.
Which is correct.
Which is correct.
Don't know if that's intentional, but smart. They get out the light cannons.
And yeah, they still use if every pork chop were perfect.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have hot dogs to activate them.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have any effect.
They don't. The hand's just like, stop.
Stop.
And then returns to being a hand. Again, with that kind of movement, does like the whole inside move? Or, I mean, I imagine it's got its own artificial gravity. Why does it need it? Because the gems don't have any mass. Never mind.
We do get to see the inside of the ship later on.
We do. It's very true.
And sort of how that looks.
Yeah.
And
I like how Garnet's just kind of holding up the telescope, even though it has got legs.
Yeah.
Just lifts it up.
Stephen calls the mayor, who is understandably quite concerned.
Yeah. Understandably. I love his picture as well.
Yes.
It's like Stephen kind of just, I don't know, got into his room in the middle of the night. It's like, Mayor Dewey, let me take a picture. Thank you, goodbye, and then left.
Yeah, it's like just probably something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, pointing fingers make politicians very nervous,
they
which is
do.
funny. But also, there's a spaceship in the sky.
The first thing he has to consider is how to make people actually do the things he says
Yeah.
through a snappy slogan, for example,
Which
which
again,
is an odd one.
odd one, but again, please wear your mask. Please don't meet up outside with people because there's a global pandemic.
Oh boy,
Sounds simple.
they should have had fans with giant heads of Boris Johnson shouting like, "Wear a mask!
Wear a mask. Wear
Wear
a
a
mask.
mask!"
Wouldn't have worked either in real life, unfortunately, but
Yeah, I mean the van saying "evacuate" didn't really work either.
it didn't. This is also true.
Stephen is assuming at this point that he would be joining the Gems in fighting this battle, but they and Greg have already decided that he's not. And Stephen kind of is confused about that. And the Gems really don't want to confront him in that case because they know how much it means to him to be part of the Crystal Gems.
Yeah.
And Garnet actually does a very good job in sort of giving him a pep talk.
Yeah.
In order to make him understand.
It's not we're sending you away because we don't believe in you. It's we believe in you and we need you to do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not.
Yeah.
It's a good sort of parenting strategy, I guess. It's not.
Yeah,
Like
I'd imagine.
you're not good enough for this. It's we still have a job for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're still included. It's just a different one at the moment.
And again, based on what we saw last episode, he can do this, and because Mayor Dew's trying, but he's panicking. He's just like, I need everyone to consider evacuation. Evacuating is something. It's just like this is not working.
It's like one of those like auto-generated websites.
Yeah, and also obviously though they do want him to get out of there because as far as they're concerned, this could be it.
Yeah, it could.
Like again, it's a very light-hearted show and everything, but I'm not entirely sure at this point if they really are expecting to survive this.
If they had failed, the world would have ended without any way to stop it.
No.
Due to the
Would have been
cluster.
pretty bad. Yes, the cluster would have destroyed the Earth and everyone would have died.
Yeah, thanks to this specific turn of events, they've managed to save the world.
Mm-hmm. Everything happened as it was supposed to.
Yeah, sadly for Stephen.
Yeah.
But Stephen's evacuation thing does work.
It does work.
And we get some incredible music.
Yeah.
With like some ambient pads and then some sort of jazz which turns tense.
It does.
And a haunting rendition of Rose's theme.
Yeah.
But
just to go back a bit quickly, because I just want to touch on it again. I mean, it's kind of what I was talking about anyway, but how you see them, putting on their brave faces for Stephen.
Yes, I was going to mention that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because actually the music's already started. And they're kind of smiling and waving, but
they are
terrified.
They are terrified. And we see this again in, well, actually, no, we saw this before in the one where they see Peridot.
Yeah, when they're like
on the screens.
They're coming back. And again, Garnet, who, is the love of two gems, stronger, Marble Madness, stronger will. Like,
yeah, I guess so.
I think is kind of why she's always like, right, come on, get it together. We need to do this. We've done everything we could. We can still do it. Whereas the other two are kind of freaking out.
As with all of season 1, the expressions are so good in it. That's not to say that the expressions got worse in season 2. It's just that they are exceptionally good in season 1.
Yeah. Yes, they are. But yeah. And we cut
And
back to
yes,
Greg and Steven and the music, which is really chill, but yeah,
it's only chill for a little bit.
it is. And Greg is, very, very concerned.
I'm very concerned. We have a sort of a very claustrophobic view
Yeah.
of the van with the ominous green light as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Whereas Steven's just treating the whole thing like, oh, well, when Peridot comes to her, she'll see it's nice and she'll not want to do this anymore.
Which is
really sweet, but it's just like
very
you seem to
sweet.
just think this is like any other like mission when it's no.
Perhaps a bit naive, but it's the sort of attitude that that, as Greg says, that Rose would
had, yeah,
have.
but it uses it as a follow through to kind of explain to him what the other gems haven't, because someone had to,
It's
and it kind of got
accidental.
lost on, yeah. I mean, again, we don't necessarily know that they spoke, but we know that Greg was packing the van with the help of the gems, obviously. So
Yeah.
he probably knows that they think this is it, and it's better to prep Steven with that now, probably, than to if everything did go really badly and they all like were taken or died, for him to find out that way, because I mean, he's gonna find out either way, I guess. But I don't know what you do in this situation. But Greg's just like, they didn't care about people before, they're not gonna care about people now. And yeah, he kind of blurts that out. And it's like, whoop. I said a thing.
Yes, Greg accidentally does say things to Steven.
Yeah.
Which had been kept from him, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. But again, another thing that it's worth it got said.
Definitely.
And yeah, Steven still seems kind of just like chill about everything. But Steven does the "I'ma stare at you until you tell me stuff." And so Greg's like, well, the gem should be telling you, but in case he's got to, and he doesn't want you. He understands why they haven't told him, because they don't want Steven to think of them like aliens.
Not just any old aliens, because we could sort of figure that out from their use of the word homeworld, but it's just the fact that they were part of an invasion.
You say this. I'm pretty sure, like, it was only this episode that I was like, hang on. Yeah, of course they are. I'm dumb.
I guess it's something that you could figure out, maybe.
Because like, when you start the show, she was like, oh, the fun fantasy people, they've got gems. And as you get on, it does seem more like there's like some kind of space thing. But I just did not, think about the word at the very least of, aliens from outer space.
Even with the space race episode?
Yes. I know, Chan. Just stop. But yeah, no, I was just like, oh yeah, of course they're aliens. But more specifically, obviously, they came here as conquerors.
It's true.
And then as he's talking about it, you get all these flashbacks to all these other things with
Yeah.
The kindergarten, and the really with no speaking, and it's just kind of all the eerie music. The bit where Amethyst just kind of shrinks back into the rock is really creepy, actually. And then you see like Pearl with the flag and all the weapons, and even though Steven's seen all this stuff before, like it's almost like he's had rose tinted goggles.
Clever.
I needed to use the word and it just happened to fit, but like, he's seeing all this stuff, he's seeing all the weapons, he knows that there were battles and stuff, but I
I
don't
guess
know,
he
it's
didn't
like
quite
he
put the
never
pieces together.
put the piece. Yeah, I mean, again, he's a little kid and he's still allowed to be naive,
Yeah, of course.
and it's like, well, the war was bad. I mean, obviously, gems on both sides were destroyed. Everyone did bad stuff.
Yeah.
And
They
yeah,
the
Stevens, go for it.
well, Greg notes how the gems sort of still feel guilt over that
Yeah,
fact, and how they protect Earth to sort of make up for it in a way.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's I mean, it's like lots of things.
Yeah.
It's like most of rebooted Doctor Who up until like the most recent couple of seasons
All right.
has been in there was the Time War, which is a war through time, as you may have guessed.
That would make sense.
Between the Time Lords and the Daleks. It was really bad, it's really terrible. And the Doctor ended it, but he killed them all.
Right. So while he's sort of in some
He's
sense a hero, he still participated in the war.
he did, yeah, he did terrible things as well, just like everyone else. And while he ended the war, he's the last survivor and the last of his people. And it's more complicated than that, but that's for discussions for another day. But yeah, similar idea of constantly trying to make amends. There's probably more directly accurate examples that exist that I just can't think of right now.
They can't really see themselves as good people when they were participating in
Yeah,
atrocities,
exactly.
even if they were doing it for a good cause.
Yeah. But, Steven's just kind of had his whole worldview crushed.
Yeah, that's where it gets real for him.
Yeah.
But he still believes that he can
Mm-hmm. And
do it, because Greg mentions that
mm-hmm.
Rosa's shield is kind of what saved the gems, because it
Yeah.
was because they that shielded them from the diamond light.
Yeah. It did. And he's trying. Steven's like, Dad, turn around, turn around, turn around, and Greg really doesn't want to.
Greg can't help but tell his son the truth.
Yeah. And Steven punches the thing pretty hard.
Yeah, it causes the airbag to go off.
Yeah, basically, he bubbles and flies out the thing, and the car swerves and stuff.
And all of the residents of Beach City are
Mm-hmm.
like there to check up on him, which is
Yeah.
nice.
It is nice.
But Stephen can't really be convinced
No, he can't.
not to go back. And Greg is not really emphatic about him staying here
No.
with them.
Yeah. Because, I mean, again, yeah, it's like Steven's all Greg has.
Yeah.
Which is not something you often think about, actually, but he's not close to the rest of his family at all. he lost Rose when he got Steven. The gems are he knows them, but he's not really like family with them yet, and
That's
he
true.
might lose them as well at this point anyway. So if he loses Steven too, then he's
That is...
And luckily, Lion's there.
Yeah. Good timing.
Good job, Lion. Lion knows he's like psychic or some nonsense. And yeah, I mean, this is one of those times I'm like, this is a stupid decision. Steven should not be going back. Obviously, he has to go back, otherwise they would lose and the world would be destroyed. But there's still a part of me which doesn't like that he does. It's hard to explain. Obviously, he had to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like, he doesn't have any control over his powers. He's just gonna go and get himself killed.
But he didn't.
Which he didn't. So that's neat. And then he leaves a message for Connie.
Yeah, quite a concerning one.
Again, don't leave messages like that.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, I did this once.
Oh jeez.
We'd moved to Horsham. I'd been here like a year, but I went back to do it was like a drama camp or something with some of my friends in Croydon. When the riots happened in Croydon, you remember them? In 2012 Croydon riots.
Yeah, I remember.
Pretty big. I despite we having moved away because we're like, it's Croydon's right, but it's a pretty risky place sometimes. Still happened to be there, which is typical. And the street that I was on was much closer to it, like a couple of like roads over. There was like rioting and stuff going on. Yeah, and I'd like walk through the town early in the day, and some of the places that I'd known like my whole life were then burned down and stuff. But I sent mum and dad a message saying like we're fine, but we can see smoke and hear helicopters and there's lots of shouting, and it's just like mum and dad were just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh my... So that kind of message doesn't actually help. Turns out. But everything was fine, so that's good. Anyway,
it's very much something that Connie would worry about.
Yeah, because Connie cares about Steven. And yeah, they're not there. He leaves this message, and we'll come back to that next time.
Indeed.
And Lion teleports him to the beach, where Opal is firing some like larger artillery, but it's still not doing a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not really working. I wonder if Alexandrite might have been able to, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's another one of these complicated things where again you're not gotta think about it too much because gem tech versus fusions like aren't the same. So if it's like, because when they get attacked by the when they get attacked by the like the super thing in the final episodes with the big old like mech basically.
Yeah.
And Alexandrite, which again, granted, yeah, is 5 gems, is much more powerful, but just straight up cuts the arms off.
That was Obsidian, but yeah.
Obsidian, sorry, yeah, I forgot which one was which, but yeah, that is 5 gems, and that's very powerful as a fusion. But straight up cuts all the arms off with the magma flame head sword thing.
Yeah, although
these
they come back.
They do come back. That's also true.
Which I guess might have been a mistake, but never mind.
Maybe, and then these do nothing. I mean, we didn't explain to you much.
No.
Power scaling in shows is always a difficult thing to do, and that's not really the point. The point is just
doesn't always have to make sense.
It doesn't always have to make sense. It's just one of those things that is a pet peeve of mine, is when it doesn't make sense. But
having it be the way it was in this episode though made it seem that much more ominous.
I mean, and that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. It's like if people listen to our Avatar reactions, they will have heard me go on about this enough. But Azula and May and Ty Lee are 3 teenage girls. Granted, they are, incredibly proficient, really well trained, great people. Well, yeah, sure, we'll say great people. They are very well trained firebender and 2 like martial artist people. But in the episode with the drill, that's what I was looking for. Oh my gosh! And you've got these like 3 platoons of the best of the best earthbenders. Yeah, in Ba Sing Se. Like the best of the best. So, these 3 people are incredibly well trained, sure. These are incredibly well trained and equipped earthbenders. They should be at least equivalent, right? And there's more of them, and they've got more experience. But, no, not at all. Or the Kyoshi Warriors when they fight them. And it's like, at one point, the Kyoshi Warriors are super badass. And as soon as the plot needs them to be easily taken out by those 3, that's what happens. And it's just like... But again, for plot reasons, it's super necessary because it's how we get Suki in the prison at the end, and then we get her, and it's really awesome. So again, it's all fine in the grand scheme of things, but it's those little moments after I've gone back and watched the show so many times because I love it that I start to be like, oh, I dislike this moment. But that's enough of a tangent. Basically, the pointy green hand is very powerful, and it's a coming.
I guess I don't see that as a bad thing too much, but fair enough.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
That's fair.
But yeah, again, doesn't particularly matter. Cinder's another great contender of that, but we're not.
No, that's bad. We're not allowed to talk about the R word.
Yeah,
it's only been like a two months.
Yeah,
something.
not long enough. But yeah, Steven comes back, which splits Amethyst and Pearl back up, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" And Steven's here to help. Great, good job, Steven. What have you done? You've stood there and concerned everyone. Cool. And then a ball comes out of the hand.
Yeah, one might think it's a Robonoid, but actually, it's.
Then it rolls.
3 gems.
And it's 3 gems on the finger moves down.
Exactly.
And it's
the Peridot and Lapis and some kind of huge
chonk gem.
I guess you could say that.
And it's a Jasper.
Indeed it is.
And I find it interesting how Peridot here and like her voice and everything and the way she presents herself and when she's stranded on Earth is like very different. Here she sounds still like a kind of like a meticulous scientist kind of person. Whereas as soon as she's stranded on Earth, and especially when she loses all of her limb enhancers, she sounds like a gremlin. I don't know why I think gremlin, but that's just the word that comes to mind.
Did she have multiple voice actors?
I was just gonna check that because her voice is definitely different here.
I wasn't sure. I think that was something I heard at one point.
Heard of voice actors. Shelby Rabara voices Peridot, and Miho Hino is the Japanese. I probably butchered that pronunciation. Sorry, voice.
I'm sure it's fine.
But no, apparently just her.
Oh, well, okay. I thought I'd heard something about it, but never mind.
Peridot have multiple voice actors. Let's check because it could be. No, apart from in the Japanese and American English.
Well, okay.
So I guess not.
I guess not.
Maybe
But the
someone else
voice
did
is
or something.
certainly
Yeah.
different.
Yes.
In kind of inflection and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We got the difference between like the sort of desperation and the kind of calm coldness of just wanting to get on with the gem
The
assigned
science and the
work.
job, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got Jasper, who I think it's an interesting, and I also hate it. The nose gem. I think it looks silly, but I think it's also kind of clever. I kind of flip between the two. Yeah, 'cause it's kind of like, yeah, a gem can be anywhere. That makes sense. It's pretty neat.
If two gems fuse that have gems in the same place,
Mm-hmm.
what happens?
Huh. I mean, do the gems always stay in the same place?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Something we have to look at going forward. I'm not actually sure. I think they do, thinking about the examples I can think of, but
Like the big five fusion ruby, for example.
yes, because that definitely does for sure. And yeah, yeah, that's something to look at. But anyway, Garnet's like, leave, please.
Carry on.
And it it doesn't work.
Pearl knows the sort of the gem lingo because she was Pearl to Pink Diamond after
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
So
she's
saying
like,
this is not a gem
not
control
a
planet.
gem control planet.
Yeah, that's our way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. And
But
like, where's Quartz? No, it's not
yeah,
here.
Jasper just ignores them.
And that's pretty much Jasper in a nutshell. And we'll proceed to be her character. And I suppose arc. It's not really an arc. It's more of like a slight jump. For the entire rest of the show.
So this is where we see the start of there's like foreshadowing here because Jasper calls Pearl lost and defective.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Stephen doesn't know that Pearl was meant to be a servant.
Yep.
We don't know that Amethyst was overcooked.
Yeah. We know she just came out late, but Peridot explains all these things for us in season 2.
Yeah, indeed. And we see, and this shameless display referring to Garnet, obviously, is the fact that it's a fusion, and they don't like that there. So there's like a little bit of sort of we get some world building immediately. It's nice.
Yeah, it's good. And Peridot's like it's the Steven.
Oh, the Steven.
Which is what
Lapis...
other show was there where someone's called the something? It's in Final Space. That me and Tom are watching at the moment, and the main character is known as the Gary.
Fair enough.
I think just aliens get confused.
I see.
I see.
I was thinking of the Great Papyrus.
Yes. Well, that's referring to himself.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of different, but sort of the same.
Lapis's main goal is to protect Stephen because
she cares about Stephen. And...
she cares about Stephen, but doesn't really care about the people who kept her imprisoned.
Oh, which is fair. I can understand that.
6,000 years. But Jasper just sort of dismisses them as kind of weak.
Mm-hmm.
Tells them to blast with the ship, and
yep.
the gems don't know about what the ship blast does, so they kind of just sort of like, And Stephen affirms to himself that he is also a crystal gem, and finally his shield goes off.
Yeah.
Which it only has done a few times in the whole series so far.
Yeah. I mean, thank goodness it does, because otherwise it would have been very anticlimactic.
Yeah. There's gem glow. It goes off in Ocean Gem.
Yeah.
And this one, and maybe another.
Maybe.
Say Uncle, maybe, but that's not canon.
Possibly, that doesn't count. And this is another one of the little things that, again, do not matter because for the story and the plot point, it's very important and stuff. But also, if
Go on.
Opal's arrows do absolutely nothing to the gem tech of the ship, then
Huh?
Steven's shield should not protect them from the gem tech of the ship.
Why not?
Because that makes no sense.
But it's a good shield.
Yeah, but it's a shield of a Steven. No, I guess you can make the argument that it's a diamond shield, and that would be more
It's a
powerful. So
diamond
sure,
shield
yeah,
as
we'll do
well.
that. Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, this is very important though because Jasper sees the pinkness.
Obviously, Jesper does not understand that Rose gave up her form to become
To become
Steven.
a Steven,
The Steven.
and just thinks that the Steven is rose quartz,
Yeah, indeed.
which is bad for Steven.
Yeah, very bad. Now, I like that that classic animation thing where when Peridot fires a barrage,
It was not a
the laser
barrage.
goes off.
Yeah.
The laser goes off, and then we wait a little bit, and then
it
it
explodes.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
It's a fun thing. There's some great boss fights to do that in Dark Souls.
Oh, really?
It's Dark Souls 3 actually. It's Dark Eater Medea, and it's a bloody nightmare, but it's very cool looking. Yeah, like just a laser, and then the laser explodes after it.
It was like one of that in a good example of that, which I remember in one of the Studio Ghibli films. The one I've seen.
Is it in?
The one with the Sky Kingdom.
Yeah, Laputa.
Laputa. Yeah,
the
that's the
Castle in
one.
the Sky. I thought it might be that one.
That one's
Yeah.
good, and it's got an example of that, and it's good basically.
Yeah, I do love the fire barrage. Beep.
Line. It's just a laser.
I guess there's lots of explosions, so it could count as a barrage, but it's not what I think of as a
No.
barrage. And you don't then stop firing the barrage. But anyway, Jasper's like, "Why are you looking weak?" And Lapis is trying to protect him. And they change the plan.
Indeed, Peridot's not happy about that because Peridot wants to do the thing that she was assigned to do.
But Jasper has altered the deal.
Jasper was going to take him to Yellow Diamond.
Yeah.
Which does happen, but that's a lot later.
Yeah. But Garnet shows up and fights Jasper, who has like a headbutt thing.
Yes, she's got a helmet.
And yeah, she's a big gem because again, we don't know this, but Garnet's 2 gems and Jasper's 1 gem.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
I think I'm silent for Cabincast.
Right. But she's big, but she also has a cheat weapon.
Indeed.
A destabilizer.
Yeah, and Garnet obviously didn't know about this with her future vision because she didn't know it existed.
No, exactly.
And we get this very, very slow motion shot,
which was censored.
It was censored in the UK.
It was too dark.
And I get it, but it's such a...
Because again, we know that gems can poof, but also the fact that she comes apart, it's blur.
It's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Very scary. And comes apart into 2 gems, and again, I still didn't make the connection that meant she was a fusion. I was still just like, yep. Well, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh dear. And Steven's just like, well, shoot.
And
shouldn't have come back.
Funnily enough, Jasper removes her weapon before headbutting him.
She does.
And the episode just ends there.
Yeah.
As she headbutts him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she talks about how she thought so she's old as well.
Oh yeah, of
Is
course.
Jasper. Is
Over
Jasper.
6,000 years.
Yeah. And yeah, she talks about how, because all she cares about is fighting. And that is what she was built to do, I guess. So yeah, makes sense.
Indeed.
And yeah, and she's like, I fought I fought your armies, and I respected your tactics, but what you're doing, you're like hiding in this squishy body, and your base has failed. And yeah, removes the helmet because if she headbutted Stephen with that,
That would have been a bit more than a black eye.
yeah, that would have been very bad. Amethyst and Pearl are charging. They lose.
Indeed, they do.
And I think this episode goes on the both Steven Scarred for Life and Greg Trauma list.
Indeed, it does. You're right. Sadly, this is one of the very big ones.
It is.
And it's just a theory, but Jasper's headbutt might be where Stephen got a fractured skull from.
I forgot he got a fractured skull,
Which we only see in the Growing Pains episode.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That would make sense.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah, still a very powerful headbutt.
That he had a fractured skull, and because it healed due to his gem energy, that it just didn't. No one knew.
Yeah,
For
didn't.
so long.
Mm-hmm.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
But that is the end of that episode.
That's the return, which just leaves.
Dun dun dun. Jailbreak.
Jailbreak. Yes. Which is a little bit longer than a regular episode at 11 minutes.
Whoa! 11 minutes?
It's mad. Which released on the same day as the return, probably straight after, I guess.
Yeah, just
because Gravity Falls without a Last Airbender would have been like 6 months, like years.
What a wait that would have been.
That's what happened in the. And then you got season 2 right the next day. Lucky buggers.
Full disclosure right after, yeah.
That was pretty much cash straight on. Anyway, so we open with Steven.
He
We even get the "We Are the Crystal James" title thing.
Oh yeah, you're right.
It just cuts straight to Steven, doesn't it?
Because it's pretty much just the part 2.
Yeah, it is. It is in fact. It is called part 2 after the Transport one. I imagine it did air like immediately after a break or something.
Yeah.
It's like bam, Jailbreak, Steven, bam, got a black eye now, and I do like how black eyes are. This person has taken damage, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense for that eye to be black or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in a cell
with some kind of weird yellow force field.
Yes, there is, and it's green.
Indeed.
And he remembers
the ship is green, at least.
The ship is green with some yellow.
With some
remembers
yellow.
Garnet breaking. Again, two gems. Student click.
And if you think about it, yellow and blue makes green.
It does. It does.
It does. That's
it's the 3 people we've got there. Nice. It's pretty cool. And yeah, Steven can hear someone shouting and making noises, and discovers that hey, his force fields don't work.
Yeah, he can just
go
through.
It seems like it hurts a little bit. Feels weird, yeah, but he's right. This is why you fancy technology, get ahead of yourself. Sometimes doors are still useful.
And
when you've got like fancy shields in and anything like in Star Wars or whatever, and the power goes out and all the shields go down. It's like, well, if you put a door there, that doesn't happen. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but
Stephen
he's kind
escapes.
of lighthearted about it at the time
Of course,
because he's Stephen.
Stephen.
Yeah, and like pretty much right next to him is Ruby,
It is Ruby.
although we don't know that at the moment.
We don't know that. I feel like it's kind of like a pins and needles, but just like extreme kind of feeling. That's the kind of vibe I get from it. I don't know. Going through the shields.
Yeah, and Ruby is angry that Stephen saw her like that.
Yeah, it's kind of sweet.
It is,
But yeah,
and she's confused that Stephen got out,
mm-hmm.
but she
Hello?
kind of is.
I mean, she's angry and stressed and
Yeah, of course.
doesn't really know what to do. And yeah, upset that Ruby had seen her. And I remember when I watched this first time, be like, oh, who's this new gem?
In some ways, she's kind of like not really thinking too much about Stephen.
No.
At the time, she just wants to find Sapphire.
Yeah. And Stephen's just like, well, I can get you out.
Indeed.
Because yeah, hard light things like gems can't go through it at all.
Yeah, they see that
I-
Ruby does not care about any of the other ones.
Doesn't care about anything but Sapphire. At least
Exactly.
at first. The Sapphire comes first. Everyone else is secondary. So
Yeah,
I do love the her voice is kind of high for the most. Well, not high, but it's kind of like quite like highest pitch for most of the things. But occasionally she has the raspy kind of like soldier kind of vibe. Like when she touches the thing and zaps, and she's like, "What's going on?"
Let's go. Yeah, the Rubies have an interesting voice.
Mm-hmm. Because like when we see the others later, like they have like a variance of pitch.
Yeah,
But they all have like the same. I don't know.
Timbre.
I think I was gonna say timbre, but I don't know that's right. The same sound, but the timbre and the pitch change.
The same person.
Because yeah, it is the same person, I would imagine. Anyway,
the first person they encounter is Lapis.
It's Lapis,
and Lapis does not want to be freed because she wants to, presumably, just accept whatever happens. She doesn't really want to be involved because she doesn't want to be punished again.
Yeah,
be a prisoner for the second
which
time.
is again fair. She's suffered quite a bit. We skipped over a bit real quick. We can hear some singing, which is where they're trying to find. And Ruby says, I can't see her because obviously she doesn't actually have future vision. She's just so used to having it because she's Garnet.
Oh yeah, of course.
But she instinctively tries to, and she can't. It's something I've only just realised this time. But
clever.
Yeah. But yes, then they run to try and find Sapphire. And Ruby shouts Sapphire, and then Steven's like, we're in space. And then they see Lapis and the whole bit, and she explains what they're going to do, take them to the homeworld. All that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just wants to stay.
Yeah, she's kind of she just wants to be free, and that's understandable.
It is. But yeah, Steven does not give up. He says he'll come back for her.
Indeed. Which he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Although that was because the ship crashed.
Yeah. Yes, a little bit. And then you get Jasper and Peridot walking past. Peridot, who's almost as tall as Jasper because of all her limb enhancers, which is still really strange to see.
And Peridot drops that hint that they were here for the cluster.
Here for the cluster.
Which obviously we don't know what it is yet.
We don't know what it is.
But
Yeah.
but Jasper just cares about Rose Quartz, taking
Does.
her to Yellow Diamond. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, it's Steven.
Yep.
And finally, we see Sapphire.
Yeah. We get a little bit more of Peridot's true Peridotness coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sapphire. Again, I was like, oh, another cool gem.
Yeah. A gem who knows Steven's name.
I know Steven's name and is practicing for her epic fight later.
Yeah.
That's
By
the
singing
tune
the
she's
same
humming.
tune.
Yeah.
Which we hear sort of
Mm-hmm.
very often. It's a motif that comes up very often when we
It does in
treat
future,
garnets.
as in the future. Maybe also in future, but at the very least in the future.
Yeah. Like in at the wedding as well.
Yes.
Which is very cool. I like
It's a motif that comes back and is very cleverly done, and is one of the ones that makes you almost cry or more cry.
Yeah. I'm
Yes.
glad this became one of the most popular songs on the internet at the time.
Mm.
When this came out, I didn't even know what Steven Universe was, but I knew this song.
Oh, really? I didn't. And as the songs go, like, and we'll discuss when we get to it, but like I appreciate it, but it's not one of my favorite Steven Universe songs.
I remember watching the Sans one that they did for Undertale.
Oh, I've seen that actually.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, I saw it. Yeah, okay. I just didn't realize that. Yeah, but I've seen that. Okay.
it makes sense because levels in
Mhm.
that called Love.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. I think it's clever. And she's like, Stephen, how did you escape? And he shows, and she's like, well, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Sapphire is very fast,
She is,
and
because she hears Ruby.
finally, they see each other.
They
And
do.
interestingly, when they ask whether they were hurt,
Mm-hmm.
Ruby just says, Ruby shows that sort of the self-worth that we have seen the entire time
Mm-hmm.
in that sort of rubies don't matter
Yeah.
because Rose kind of encouraged them to
She's just like, who
be
cares?
together.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And when Rose encouraged them to be together, they thought they were better together.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that because they don't even from what I can see, they don't even have stars on their individual outfits.
No, I don't think they do. They've just kind of gained them as Garnet over time.
Yeah, they only have it as Garnet.
Yeah, that's true. Cool, because they've pretty much always been Garnet. But yeah, they kind of, and they don't even do like a like a traditional fusion quote unquote dance or anything, because they don't need to.
Yeah, they just hug and kiss.
Yeah, and it's very cute.
It's like oh no.
Fine, we've got Garg. It's all good.
Okay, that's fine then.
Yeah, and then they become Garnet, and at that moment I was like, "Whoa, Garnet! I did not see this."
Yeah, this is the
No.
big twist.
Yeah, it's nice. I'm like, how did I not know? But I'm not the only one. I've spoken to other people who didn't know either. So, I mean, I don't remember if you figured it out or not when we watched it.
I can't remember.
Cool. I'm gonna say you didn't, and make myself feel better. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, we did watch like half of the first season, so there was a lot of episodes that we went to. But yeah, it's Garnet. She's
Garnet.
back,
Indeed.
and I mean, Stephen didn't know either, so
And they it turns out they had
and
they had planned to show it
Yeah.
to Stephen at a different time, but
at a different time.
this was earlier.
And he's like, "Oh, did you make a good impression?" It's like, well, they always knew who you were. They always loved you. You just hadn't met them. And
But
looking at just the eyes on Garnick is actually quite weird. But yeah, Jasper. It's
Jasper's
like,
back.
where is she?
Indeed. Garnet passes on her future vision to Stephen
Yes.
in order to
Like
find
seen
Pearl and
before.
Amethyst. And this is where the perspective switches.
Yes.
This is where instead of seeing things from Stephen's point of view, we see things from Garnet's point of view.
Which we don't see very often, I don't think, but
Yeah, we don't get that often.
sometimes. And it's good.
It's very good. We get the song. We get the song.
We do get the song. But she's ready this time.
Yeah. She
Last time
remarks
it
that
was, Sorry, yeah, you go ahead.
Jasper thinks that like what Garnet is Ruby and Sapphire, but Garnet can tell that she is sort of greater than the sum of her parts.
Yeah.
So Jasper hasn't seen what she really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because last time it was very much protecting Stephen, and not knowing the tools that Jasper had and all that stuff. Whereas
Indeed.
this time she's ready and she can sing a song about it.
Yeah.
And I do like that it doesn't make her instantly win.
No,
it's still a struggle. She still takes some hits.
Indeed. Like a big hit.
Yeah, like her glasses do get broken. She's gonna knock to the floor, so it's kind of fair. But she doesn't stop singing. Yeah. In fact, it kind of looks like some of her fingers are broken, but she's fine because it's she's a gem. It doesn't count. It doesn't mean anything. But yeah, she gets back up because love and stuff.
She gets up because of love.
I just listen to the song if you want to understand. Basically, the song will put into words much better than we can.
I think the words are that she's made of love.
Yeah.
Or I guess of love. I guess
That's the one. And it isn't just love for each other, even though that's a big part of it, but it's also for for us and for her friends.
Yeah.
It's for the whole shebang, and the battle continues. And again, it's still not going perfectly for Garnet.
She only really gets one good hit in, and it destroys the visor of Jasper.
And then Jasper becomes Sonic.
Jasper becomes supersonic, and perhaps gets overconfident because Garnet manages to catch her visor,
and yeets her into the
power source thing.
The engine or something, which
temporarily knocks out Jasper.
It does.
I guess it would poof her or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know, but it does. And the others who had managed to, it's not. The others who we had been with, seen them like briefly into cuts throughout the song, captured Peridot, but she manages to worm away and launch herself into another ball escape pod thing.
Indeed.
As the ship crashes, and then the song just continues while Garnet speaks, and yeah, again, music. Like this show isn't a musical, but it is. But it's sometimes a bit fourth wall breaking kind of. But it's fine.
Yeah, the escape pod is fired towards something that looks suspiciously like America.
Yeah, the America.
Wow, it's not quite the same, but it's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and the hand crashes. Lapis is still inside. Then it explodes.
Yep.
Then there's a lion.
But it's
Stephen
okay.
Saved everyone
because the bubble was protecting them.
Yeah.
From the entire explosion.
Yeah. It looks like Garnet was trying to shield everyone. But then Steven actually properly bubble shielded everyone on top of that. And they all kind of like shielding Steven, who is then shielding them, which is kind of cute.
Indeed.
But yeah, Lion gets them out,
But it's not the end.
It's not the end.
Jasper comes back.
Yes.
And Lapis also is like, hey, I'm also here.
How did I forget about this? I completely forgot about this moment.
Lapis tries to escape, but Jasper grabs her leg and pulls her down.
She does.
And asks her to fuse.
Yeah.
Or, well, tells her to fuse.
Mm-hmm.
By telling her that the truth that they are traitors to their homeworld and did keep her prisoner.
Yeah.
And did attempt to use Lapis for their own gains.
Yeah.
Which was to teach Steven about gem history, but never mind.
Never mind.
And Lapis accepts.
Mm-hmm. And the way that she talks to her about fusion and is like, holding her and handling her,
it's rough.
Is very rough and uncomfortable. Which is very much the point.
Yeah.
Again, watching as a child and as an adult, I think it, based on how you can adapt the concept of fusion into other things, you can draw, much harsher conclusions and relations to it through how it is through like bad, quote unquote, bad fusion.
She's that kind of abusive toxic
partner kind of thing, yeah. But Lapis goes along with it.
And we see Malachite.
Which is a really terrifying design.
Yeah, very terrifying. Instead of more arms or more eyes, well, we do also get more eyes. We get 4 arm legs.
Yeah, arm legs.
Somehow.
Yeah. And because they are 2 very powerful gems, because one's like a, super powerful soldier, and the other is a literal terraformer.
Yes, who, as we have seen, is incredibly strong.
Incredibly strong, because like a Sapphire is about to see in the future.
Yeah, she's
a
an
Ruby's. She's an elite, but like in terms of pure strength, she's probably not that strong. Ruby's a foot soldier. Amethyst is like Jasper. In fact, as we find out later from Paradox, should technically be better because she's from the Alpha Kindergarten. But she came out late. She was overcooked. And then a Pearl's a Pearl.
A Pearl is a Pearl.
Whereas this is a prime soldier and a terraformer. So they're just 2 gems and they're a massive fusion.
And they're huge.
And they control water. And luckily, was kind of the point. Because Lapis manages to wrestle control from Jasper and pull her down into the ocean.
In a scary scene, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they don't breathe or anything, so they're fine, but yeah, it's just like, I'm scared of being everyone's prisoner, now you're my prisoner.
Lapis is sacrificing herself
to pull Jasper and take Jasper down with her.
To save Steven as a part of it, and also, well, she doesn't want to face the diamonds, presumably, after all that.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Definitely not.
And yeah, and again, the abusive relationship stuff with them will come back in in many big ways for both of them.
Big way. Now, just
yeah.
underwater at the bottom of the ocean.
Until
Later.
season 3?
I think so.
Yeah, we don't really see them at all in season 2. It's
I think they like sometimes talk about it, but mostly they're looking for Peridot.
yeah. And then the phone rings from Connie.
Yeah. And obviously Connie's quite distressed.
Yep.
Presumably Stephen didn't have any signal up in the ship.
No,
So
probably not.
who knows how many times Connie tried to ring?
Who knows? I imagine lots.
Which is fair, because if you get a message from someone saying, "We might die, see you later," you'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna just call this person all the time because I want to figure out what that is."
Yeah, exactly.
But it does feel like perhaps Connie pushes it too hard at some points.
Yeah, not yet.
Disclosure, which we're not
we will
to yet. We'll
we'll talk about that next time.
She perhaps calls it too much.
Yes. Perhaps we'll discuss that. Discuss that then.
But Stephen has no idea what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And the episode ends.
Yep. With just like rubble and fire and stuff everyone that was looking at on the beach. Does it have a star? I don't remember if it has a star.
It does have a star.
I feel like it has a star, but this time it's kind of like an ironic star.
Yeah, it just like zooms in on Stephen's just sort of awkward.
He's just kind of like,
standing there with a phone, trying to just understand what they went through.
Yeah, because usually like the star's like, oh yeah, it's cute. The end of the episode's here, and this time it's just like,
Yeah, normally
Yeah.
it's like Stephen makes a pun. It's like,
yeah,
melons, and then it goes like, and this
Yeah.
time it's like, we could have died. Did
exactly. It's like, yeah, it's the end of the season. It's the end of the episode. We did it. Everything's because I guess the thing is like, I mean, it's not a hard and fast rule, obviously, but they often end when without like the star when it's something ominous or something bad is happening or it's alluding to something bad. Technically, at the moment, everything's all right.
Yeah.
On the surface, at least. But it's just actually not. Obviously, Jasper is still, there. She's just being held down by Lapis. Peridot's still out there. Connie's really concerned about everyone. So is Greg and the townspeople. There's a massive ship. Homeworld still knows. So, yeah. And that's the first season of Steven Universe.
That's the first season. It ends on a note.
Ends on a note. Yeah. As many animated shows do.
But it doesn't matter because the next episode happens the next day.
Yeah, again, it's like it's all fine, guys. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. What do you mean end of a season?
Yeah.
The only difference between the end of season 1 and the start of season 2 is
we already showed you episodes from our next season. It's all fine.
Is the that it uses Love Like You at the end.
Yes, that is the transition, isn't it?
And at some point it gives us a new OP, but I'm not quite sure.
At some point. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, and then most of the series happens throughout 2015 until the answer through log date 7/15/12, which is in January the next year.
Ah.
So it's like a 2.5 month gap between Too Far and the answer, which is interesting. But yeah, like we said, we'll talk about them next time. Oh, we also had Jailbreak, the song. Wait, well, no, Jailbreak's the song. In Jailbreak, even we had Sapphire's song and then Stronger Than You, which is kind of Sapphire's song was that. But they're pretty great.
It's true.
Yeah. I think they don't count as more scarring. It's just kind of from the return onwards.
It's the same kind,
Same
and we don't get Greg's scarring until next time.
Yeah.
And we don't see any train.
We don't see any train Shan.
Sadly.
Alas. And so I think that's after 2 hours, pretty much.
2 hours.
3 episodes in 2 hours.
But it was the finale, so
It was the finale. We had plenty to talk about.
probably justified.
We still talked about political power for like 45 minutes.
I count that as part of it.
Yep. True. It counts.
I love that two of the like most tense moments have a Mayor Dewey episode like right next to him.
Yeah.
It's like Steven's back from Earth after being almost killed in on Homeworld in season 5, and it's like, let's talk about Mayor Dewey.
Yeah, and strangely it works.
And it kind of works.
Yeah.
Even if I would have loved to see more.
Anyway, we'll talk to that in a couple of years.
Yeah.
We'll see. It might pick up a bit now, but as we've gone on, we've started dissecting them a little bit more as well. So
Yeah.
We'll get there when we get there. But until then, unless you've got any final thoughts, Dan.
Greg.
Yep. Nice. Yeah.
Those are my final thoughts.
Yeah, all I'd say is, like, as the first season goes through a show, you do kind of have to stick at it.
It's great.
52 episodes is an awful
Every
lot.
episode is amazing.
But the first few, you really gotta push on through them.
Like Stephen can be a bit much in like cheeseburger backpack and
yes,
together breakfast, but it is still very good. And sometimes the characters are a bit weird, like Greg in House Guest is like completely unlike the Greg of every other episode.
I forgot that, but yes. Oh, right, yes, no.
When he lies about his leg being broken and just sort of annoys him.
Yeah,
that's sort of not what you'd expect from Greg.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is kind of wish that this is where I kind of wish we did more of our proper analyzing from the start, because I feel there's probably more we could have talked about with some of those ones.
Sadie punching Lars off a cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, that's this one. Yeah.
That's this one. That's the end of season 1.
It's the end of season 1. Join us next time for season 2. But until then, thank you very much for listening.
Indeed.
We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
For season 2 of Cabincast Ramble Steven Universe.
Yeah.
Part billion.
Like 12 or 30.
12 even.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cabincast. For more episodes, go to www.cabincast.podbean.com or use the Podbean app. You can now also find us on iTunes and Pocket Casts under Cabincast and on YouTube. The uploads here are quite behind. Finally, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Cabincast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.